Well, good evening, everyone. This is IDL 7130, and today is February 10th, and I am Elizabeth Jones. I'll be your presenter for tonight's topic. And if you need to reach me with any questions at any time, you can always contact me at jones.1553@wright.edu. So let's jump right in. What you're going to need tonight is, well, if you're attending the live session, you can have paper and a writing utensil available if you want to take any notes. You won't need them. We're going to be doing more interactive things online. But for those that are watching the recorded video, please utilize the lecture learning packet. Make sure you have a pen or pencil to answer the questions and participate in the activities. And you'll be getting directions as we go through. So let's go ahead and do a quality check. And we're going to be using some different WebEx tools throughout the discussion to show understanding. And we covered a lot in the last lecture, but I'm going to go over them again in case anybody missed the last lecture. So I realize that some of you are going to be watching this on the recording. Bear with us a few minutes while I go over some of these things for the students that are joining the live lecture. So first, I want to make sure that everyone can hear me. If you could, go to the emoticon button at the bottom and give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. All right, I think I'm going to need to expand because I cannot see everybody right now. So let me do this and try and get more of you guys in here. Well, I'm just going to change the layout. Let's go. So there we go. Now I can see everybody better. Okay. So, all right, everybody said that they can hear me. So good. Now I want to make sure that you can see me. So if you could go to that emoticon button again and do the clapping hands this time. All right, we've got Bobby, we've got Morgan, we've got Colleen. Good deal. All right. And to make, we should already be recording, but just to make sure, I want to verify if you guys can see that the record button is red, I want to have you go in and raise your digital hand at the bottom. Perfect. All right, go ahead and put those down if you haven't already. And we will go ahead and move on to the next slide. All right. So what we have here, these are some additional tools that we're going to cover before we get started. At the bottom right, you will be able to see the participants window, and you're going to use that button to display or not display who is actually in the live lecture. And you have the ability to toggle between the two options. Again, at the bottom right, there is the chat window. You can use that to ask or answer questions. I've shared a link that we're going to use later on that you guys have already pulled up. And you have options in the send to box to send to individuals or to everyone within the group. Now, we're also going to be using a Slido poll, and you should see that as well. If you don't have that, let me know. I can help you pull that up. But we'll be getting into that later. The mute or unmute microphone you'll find at the bottom. It's just to the left of center. And then to show or hide your video feed, you can use the video button just to the right of the microphone button. Lastly, if you want to see a text translation of today's lecture, you can select the closed caption tab near the lower left of the WebEx window. Right next to it is a drop-down tab that allows you to select whatever language you would like to view. So if everybody understands and is ready to move on, if you can type yes or no in the chat box, I would appreciate it, and we'll go ahead and move on. There's a yes, and yeah, all right, we're ready to go. Good deal. All right, so we want to minimize any distractions. I know, we're probably in environments that we don't have full control over, but as much as you can, silence your phones, close your doors, try and sequester your pets. I tried, but sometimes they get yappy, but do your best so we can focus our attention to the lecture today. All right, today, like I said, I'm Elizabeth Jones. Today we're going to be talking about shared metacognition. So what we're going to expect today is we were assigned reading from the Garrison textbook from chapters 5 and 6. And that lecture focuses on shared metacognition. Well, the lecture is going to focus on shared metacognition, which is actually from chapter 6. We're going to be mixing in some activities and assessment throughout our time today. And before we get started, we're going to have a quick one right now. So go ahead and get your annotate tool up at the upper right, it looks like a little pencil scribble. Does everybody see that? Can I get a head nod from you guys if you see it, or a head shake if you don't? Okay, go ahead and grab your pen and pencil tool. And what we're going to do is we're going to circle the picture or pictures that you think are having good discussions that could possibly benefit idea sharing and learning. While you guys do that, for those that are watching the video, grab your learning packet. It has the same pictures, and I want you to circle those in the learning packet, and you'll turn in, pause the video and then resume it once you're all done. So I'll give you guys just a few moments to do this. I see some shape tool using right there. All right. So we've got a couple, and it looks, when you have smiles and you have good interaction, it looks like they're having good discussions. But you'll find during the lesson today that there are some situations that are better at fostering ideas and educational absorption. Some situations are just better than others. So thank you for doing that. All right, so these are our learning objectives today. We're going to talk about being able to explain sharing metacognition. I want you to understand why shared metacognition is essential to thinking and learning collaboratively. You'll understand how discussion regulation in a learning environment is essential to increase shared metacognition. And lastly, I want you to understand how to use metacognitive awareness to achieve the greatest outcome. And I know those are a lot of big words. And when I first, discussed metacognitive awareness and shared metacognition, I was a little confused, but I've simplified it a little bit, and hopefully it'll resonate with everybody. All right, so shared metacognition, it's also known as social metacognition, and it's comprised of people, in our case students, that communicate their thoughts, concepts, and beliefs with their peers in an effort to weigh in on and discuss shared ideas. That's what it is. Talking with your peers to share concepts and thoughts and weigh in to discuss those shared ideas. Simple concept with a very big name. All right. So what is essential for collaboration? Shared metacognition is fundamental in the process of thinking and learning collaboratively. It contains the greatest capacity to absorb and enhance thoughtful education in a collaborative situation where you're talking and interacting with others. And in fact, it needs and appreciates the value of collaboration and societal encouragement. So you need that collaboration and your peers to get the best outcome for this. So when we're talking about that, we're talking about what can increase shared metacognition. So as students, we often appreciate clear and evident information. We like things just right in front of us, but we can get caught up in depending on our instructor's directions. So what we want to do is, if we want to increase shared metacognition, we have to regulate our dialogue and depend on ourselves and our peers within our learning environment instead of so much depending on the instructor. So regulating the dialogue just means depending on ourselves and our peers for that discussion within our learning environment. And there was a study by Clark and Bartholomew that attempted to see what effect an instructor's participation had in asynchronous dialogue. And they found that instructors actually tended to move the conversation towards a certain point or a certain direction instead of letting the discussion go where the students took it to support stronger cognitive presence. So when that instructor backs out of the conversation, students tend to take the conversation a little bit further, still in the direction they want, but they get a little bit further and they dig deeper into ideas and come up with more solutions. So that's kind of a cool study that showed that. So when we're talking about the greatest outcome, then of course, we want to be able to dig into all those ideas, but we also want to be able to stay on track. So if we want to achieve our greatest outcome and have metacognitive mindfulness encourage us as learners, We have to be capable of finding our way through the inquiry process. And that means being ready and capable of having the discussion stay on track towards the learning objectives, as well as the related data, the strategies and activities that we're looking to get out of it. So we are going to pop into another activity. So it kind of couples onto that icebreaker. So now that we've had the discussion of shared metacognition, I would like you to grab that annotate tool again for those in the live one and circle which picture has a discussion group with the best potential for the greatest metacognitive outcome. And for those, while they're doing that, for those that are watching the recording, if you would just grab your learning packet, and it has a little bit different pictures than this one, so you can't just come back and circle the same ones. Circle in the packet which discussion groups have the best potential for the greatest metacognitive outcome, and I want you to explain why when on your packet. Once you're finished, you'll go ahead and resume the lecture then. Okay, you guys got it. So all the other ones, go ahead, you guys go ahead and unmute, and somebody tell me why you chose that one over the other ones.
I chose it because it's more free form, as opposed to it looks like maybe an instructor or one person talking to the group and they're all focused in on one.
Yes, yeah,
The one
you're
with the
right.
group, they can go back and forth and have a lot more discussion.
Yeah, that's where I was going on that. Does anyone else have anything that they noticed, or was that mainly what you guys noticed? Yeah, okay, that's where I was going. I guess I directed you where I wanted to. All right, so when it comes down to it, we want to know how this applies to us. So when it's clear that shared metacognition has great impact on how we think, share ideas, and how we come to conclusions. And metacognition as a function of community of inquiry has to come from thoughtful contemplation and discussion for those in a common educational environment. I mean, we could be out discussing with other people different things, but if we don't share the same educational environment, we may not take the discussion where it really is intended to. So that's part of it as well. And how it helps when we participate in thoughtful discussion with a peer learning group, it enhances the likelihood of us absorbing that information and being able to come up with more beneficial ideas and solutions. So it's important for us to regulate the dialogue, and we discuss that, but it doesn't mean that we should make efforts to include our instructors. That's not where I was intending to go. But we need to be aware that to have an open conversation that allows the discussion to flow through freely, and we need to be able to be mindful of the discussion being directed in a certain way instead of the dialogue naturally leading the group of their to their own discovered ideas and solutions. So that's why that's so important. And then moving on to the next one, mindful outcome. So we need to stay aware of the group's focus so we don't lose track and stumble completely off topic or divert away from the group's goals for the entire conversation. So that was really quickly a brief discussion of shared metacognition. What I want to do now is we have a breakout session case study. And you guys see it here on the slide. I already sent you the links. What I'm going to do is send you to the breakout sessions after we really quick discuss this. So what I want you to do is, of those questions down below, I want you to select one question, you guys discuss it, that you believe would stimulate a conversation. Discuss how the question would prompt discussion, and when you come back, I want you to select one person who's going to talk about it. And go ahead and bring yourselves back. The timer automatically, there's a minimum of 5 minutes. So you can, if you spend less time than that, which you probably will, bring yourselves back and we'll go ahead and proceed with the discussion. So I'm going to send you to those breakout rooms. Okay, and then for those that are watching on the recording, You'll need your lecture learning packet and your pen and pencil. You'll pause the video and you are going to do the same. You're going to select and write one of the questions that you believe would stimulate a conversation and why. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, when you're looking at it, like what stands out to me, if you're talking about a topic, what stands out to me? Why would this be a good question to lead into deeper conversation? That's what I'm looking to get out of this. So if there's something that stands out to you, use that question and explain why you like that one. All right, welcome back, everyone. All right, so who is our spokesperson? All right, go ahead, Morgan.
So we kind of came up with a couple different ones, but
Okay,
we
yeah.
were really liking the why is this idea important question, mainly because we feel that it it leads to people needing to explain like why they feel that their solution or their idea is important, and allows them to explain their thinking, explain their process, explain their experience a little bit better than just answering a simple like what question.
Right.
I think it allows people to connect and kind of gain different perspectives when we ask why, and it kind of forces them to explain their thinking.
Yes,
And then
absolutely.
I think Colleen mentioned the how does this connect with what I already know as another really good one to kind of get people to think about applying it to their current life situation or their current experiences and their current knowledge. So I don't know if Colleen has anything she wants to add to that.
Yeah, it reminded me of a previous book that we had to read called Make It Stick. And in that book, there was a big important part of memory is relating future knowledge to past knowledge and making those connections. And that actually helps build like memory and learning.
Absolutely. Yeah, you are spot on. And the thing is, that's a great one to help you absorb that information and retain it, because you relate what you already know to something else, and it does pull it in and it helps it resonate with you. But all of these questions have something in common. They're not a quick yes or no thing. They make you think, they make you discuss and talk, and that is the whole point of shared metacognition. So thank you guys. I appreciate your input. All right. So today we talked about shared metacognition and or social metacognition. And it's simply sharing thoughts with peers in our learning group to collectively weigh in on and discuss those shared ideas. When we're talking about that, we're talking about, collaborating, and we know that shared metacognition is essential to thinking and learning collectively, and it gives us the greatest possibility of absorbing ideas and enhancing our learning. So, or it is student reliant. I mean, if we want to increase shared metacognition, we have to be able to regulate our conversations to help ensure open and neutral discussions. And sometimes it's best to have that happen without the direction of instructors. And then finally, we discussed the best outcomes. So we can achieve those best results when we are able to keep that dialogue focused on the goals and objectives that we want for that discussion. So what we're going to do is we are going to end this with a poll. And I am going to go ahead and open it up. So for those of you watching live, the poll is going to appear on the right side of your screen under the Slido prompt once I activate it. And you're going to select your answers to the questions, and we should see the results in real time. And for those, let me go ahead and open it, and then I will go ahead and discuss what we're going to do for those that are joining. All right, can you guys see it? You may need to expand that section so you can see all of them and use the drop downs to see the full questions. Are you guys able to see it? If you hit like the arrow to the right of it, it'll drop it down and give you the options. If you have any problems, go ahead and unmute and let me know. But for those that are watching the recording, you'll just need your lecture learning packet and a pen or pencil, pause the video, annotate your answers in the packet, and then once you're finished, go ahead and resume the lecture. Right, and when you guys are all done, if you would do the virtual hand raise, I would appreciate it. All right, we got Morgan done. All right, we got Bobby. All right. So I know these dive into exactly what we discussed. So let's go ahead and pop them open here. So what are some aspects of shared metacognition? It is just as we discussed. It is the discussion with your peers. It's communicating those shared ideas, and it happens within that shared learning environment. What we don't want is that a directed and controlled conversation. So yeah, you guys got it. And then when we're looking at the second one, shared metacognition is fundamental to thinking and learning collaboratively. That is true. That is what we were looking for, and you guys all got that as well. The third one, to increase the shared metacognition, we can regulate our dialogue, and that doesn't mean that we're controlling it. What that means is we are eliminating that control and maybe eliminating the instructor from that. And then we depend on ourselves and our peers to increase that shared metacognition. So I know that regulate word can get a little confusing when we're talking about being open-minded with this, sharing these discussions. And then the last one, to gain the greatest possible outcome for metacognitive mindfulness, we should make a list of points and ideas to discuss and stick with only talking about the thoughts on that. Yeah, you guys got it. It was false. Did you guys have any questions on those? Anything that was confusing? Okay, well, that leads us right into our next one, if there are any questions. So I want you guys to, if you would, use the emoticon button down below. Let me know how you're feeling about the information. And if it doesn't have the right emoticon, enter it in the chat. Like, I'm not quite sure about this. If you want to discuss anything, feel free to unmute your microphones. We can do it now. Or you can always send me an email at jones.1553@right.edu. After this recording if you think of something too. So does anyone have anything for me? Any questions? No? Well, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. You guys flew right through this. So I appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend. And I hope you guys have a good time out in the weather this weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.